Hello students, I am teacher Svetlana, and in our today's lecture we will learn all about connective tissues. We will see the different types of connective tissues, that is connective tissue proper, dense connective tissue, supporting tissue and fluid connective tissue, which is all covered in the chapter animal tissues. So let's begin. Connective tissue. Students, it is the most widely spread tissue in the body. It binds, supports and provides strength to other body tissues and organs. It consists of a variety of cells and fibers. Here, have a look at this image. It shows you the different types of tissues, connective tissues that are present in our body. They are embedded in the abundant intracellular substance called as matrix. Connective tissue protects the vital organs of the body. It is highly vascular except the cartilage. So it has a rich source of blood supply except the cartilage. It acts as packaging material and also helps in the healing process. Students, this connective tissue is classified on the basis of the matrix that is present as connective tissue proper, supporting connective tissue, fluid connective tissue. Connective tissue proper is further classified as loose connective tissue, example areola connectives, and adipose tissues, and dense connective tissues, example ligaments and tendons. The supporting connective tissues are also called as skeletal tissues, which include the cartilage and the bone. And the fluid connective tissue includes the blood and the lymph. Let us have a look at each of these different types of connective tissues. The first type, that is connective tissue proper, they are called as loose connective tissues. Matrix of the loose connective tissue is semi-solid, jelly-like, viscous matter made up of gelatin. Now, they are further divided as areolar tissue and adipose tissue. So, let us have a look at the areolar tissue. Areola means air pockets. Matrix of this tissue contains two types of fibers, namely white fibers and yellow fibers. Have a look at this image here. You can see these are the yellow fibers and these here, the thick ones, are the white fibers. Now, white fibers are made up of collagen. They give tensile strength to the tissue, and yellow fibers are made up of elastin and are elastic in nature. The tissue also consists four different types of cells, that is fibroblast, the large flat cells having branched processes. These here are your fibroblasts. These are basically the cells which are producing the fibers. They produce fibers as well as the polysaccharides that form the ground substance or the matrix of the tissue. Mast cells are oval cells that secrete heparin and histamine. These here are the mast cells. Macrophages are amoeboid and phagocytic cells. So we also have these macrophages here which have phagocytic function, that is they are responsible for engulfing the unrequired cells or the dead debris of any infection or disease causing organism. Fat cells, also called as adipocytes, have intrinsic nucleus. These cells store fats. This tissue acts as a packaging material. It helps in the healing process and connects different organs or the layers of tissues. It is found under the skin, between the muscles, bones, around the organs, blood vessels and the peritoneum. Students, the next type of loose connective tissue that we have is the adipose tissues. Adipose means fat. In this tissue, large number of adipocytes are present. Adipocytes are those cells which are specially used to store fats. Cells are rounded or polygonal. Have a look at this image. This is your typical adipocyte, that is the cell storing fats. Now this cell is rounded or polygonal. Nucleus is shifted to the periphery, that is nucleus is always shifted to one side because fats are stored in the cell in the form of droplets. Now matrix is less and fibers and blood vessels are few in number. These are two types of adipose tissue. So we have two types again in this adipose tissues also. We have white adipose tissues which appears opaque due to presence of large number of adipocytes. It is commonly seen in adults. And we have brown adipose tissues. It is reddish brown in color due to presence of large number of blood vessels. Now, the function of these adipose tissues is they act as good insulators and also they act as shock absorbers and a good source for energy because it stores fats. This tissue is found in sole and palm region as well as around organs like kidney. Now students, let us move to the next type of connective tissue, which is the dense connective tissue. In this tissue, fibers and fibroblasts are compactly arranged. We previously saw the loose connective tissue where they were loosely arranged, and in this type of tissue now they are compactly arranged. There are two types, namely dense regular and dense irregular tissue. In dense regular connective tissue, collagen fibers are arranged in parallel manner. We have two major examples of these types of tissues, that is the tendons and the ligaments. Have a look at this image here. The tendons are present here in the diagram and the ligaments are present here. Let us see what are the functions that they perform. Tendons connect skeletal muscle to the bone. So you'll see your muscles, skeletal muscles, are attached to the bones with the help of tendons. To give tensile strength to the tissue, tendons contain bundle of white fibers. We have Achilles tendon and we have hamstrings tendon. Then we move to ligaments. These are made up of elastin or yellow fibers, so they're elastic in nature. They're arranged in regular patterns. These fibers make ligaments elastic. They are present at joints. They prevent dislocation of bone. Can you see here? This is one bone, that is your femur, and this is your another bone, that is the fibula, which is held together by these ligaments. So they prevent dislocation. So they hold these bones in their proper position. In dense irregular connective tissue, fibers and fibroblasts are not arranged in an orderly manner. These tissues are found in the dermis of the skin. Now students, let us move to the third type of connective tissue, which is the supporting connective tissue. It is characterized by presence of hard matrix. It is classified into two types, the cartilage and bone. So let us understand what is a cartilage first. This is a palpable yet tough tissue. It forms endoskeleton of cartilaginous fishes like shark. It is widely distributed in vertebrate animals. In cartilage, abundant matrix is delimited by a sheath of collagenous fibers called as perichondrium. Matrix is called as chondrin. Have a look at this image. This matrix is called as chondrin, just below the perichondrium. So perichondrium is probably the region which limits your cartilage, or from where the cartilage begins. Just below this perichondrium, we have immature cartilage forming cells called as chondroblasts, which are present. So these cells are called as chondroblasts. These produce the cartilage. So chondrocytes are seen scattered in the matrix. They are present scattered. They are enclosed in lacunae. So this capsule-shaped structure is called as a lacunae. Each lacunae contains 2 to 8 chondrocytes. Based upon the type of matrix, there are 4 types of cartilage. The first one is hyaline cartilage. In this type of cartilage, the perichondrium is present. As explained here, this is the perichondrium, below which you have the chondroblasts, which are your immature cartilage producing cells. Matrix is bluish white and jelly-like. Very fine collagen fibers and chondrocytes are present. Hyaline cartilage is elastic and compressible in nature. Now, what does this cartilage do? It acts as a good shock absorber as well as provides flexibility. It reduces friction. It is found at the end of long bones, epiglottis, trachea, ribs, larynx and hyaloid. So this is the basic structure of your hyaline cartilage. Next, we have elastic cartilage. In elastic cartilage, the perichondrium is present. So here you can see the perichondrium is present. Matrix contains elastic fibers. So these fibers that are present are elastic in nature. So it provides maximum flexibility to the place where it is present. Chondrocytes are few in number. It gives support and maintains the shape of your body parts. It is found in your earlobes, the tip of your nose. If you touch your nose, you see that it flexibly moves. It's because it is made up of the cartilage, which is elastic in nature. Next, we have the fibrocartilage. Perichondrium is absent in the fibrocartilage, so there is no perichondrium present. Matrix contains bundles of collagen fibers and few chondrocytes scattered in the fibers. So very few chondrocytes are present and they have these collagen fibers. So fibrocartilage is the most rigid cartilage. It maintains position of the vertebrae. Intervertebral discs are made up of fibrocartilage. It is also found at the pubic symphysis. So this is a slightly rigid cartilage. It is less flexible as compared to the previous ones that we have seen. Then we have the calcified cartilage. Now this type of cartilage, student, becomes absolutely rigid due to deposition of salts in the matrix. This reduces the flexibility of joints in old age. Example, heads of the long bones. And then we have the bones. This is characterized by a hard matrix called as oesin. Oesin is made up of mineral salt hydroxyapatite. Outer tough membrane called as peristromium encloses the matrix. So you have the outermost layer. Have a look at the image here. This is the peristonium which encloses the matrix. Blood vessels and nerve pierce to the peristonium. So blood vessels, they kind of pierce their way through the peristonium. Matrix is arranged in the form of concentric layers called as lamina. You can see here in the matrix there is a concentric arrangement which is called as lamellae. Students, each lamella contains fluid-filled cavity called as lacunae. So this here concentric lamella, it is just magnified here, you can see, and it is further, you can see this region which is called as the lacuna. This is the fluid-filled region. Fine canals that radiate from each lacuna are called as canaliculi. So this here which comes out are called as your canaliculi. In the lacunae, osteoblast, active bone cells, and osteocytes, the inactive bone cells, and osteoclasts are present. Mammalian bone shows particular Haversian system. Haversian canals enclose an artery, vein, and the nerve. This here, look at the figure B here. This is called as an Haversian system where you have an enclosed artery and vein and the nerves associated with it. For this, you need to observe the figure to understand the Haversian system. This figure, as I've explained, has the arrangements, showing you the arrangements of the central canal having the nerves and the vein which forms the Haversian canal. According to presence of matrix, there are two types of bones present in the human body. In spongy bones, Haversian system is absent, and a reticular matrix is arranged in the form of a trabecule. It contains red bone marrow. In compact bones, matrix shows Haversian system without any spaces between the lamellae. The last type of the connective tissues that we have to look, students, is the fluid connective tissues, which are also called as vascular tissues. So the blood and the lymph are your fluid connective tissues present in the body of animals. But you will study about these tissues in detail in a chapter called as circulation in your class 12th. So you have the blood and the lymph which act as the fluid connective tissues. They are mainly involved with the transport of oxygen, carbon dioxide, nutrition, and waste throughout the body. Thank you, students, for participating in this lecture. See you soon again with the next topic. Till then, take care, be safe, and keep learning.